The House will come to order. This morning we'll have a presentation and posting of colors by the Civil Air Patrol Cadet Color Guard.
Reset. Focus. Colors. Ready. Move. Post the colors. Ready, move. Focus. Color guard. Upright turn. Arch. Forward. Arch.
Please join Representative Holtorf in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
And before we take the roll, just a special shout out to our Civil Air Patrol Cadet Color Guard, Cadet First Lieutenant Sydney Lowe's, Cadet Senior Master Sergeant Sam Harrison, Cadet Technical Sergeant Jonathan Pratt, and Cadet Airman First Class Alex Stilo. Thank you so much for your service and for being here today. Mr. Sheeple, please call the roll.
Representatives Amabile, Bacon, Baisley, Benavides, Burnett, Bird, Bockenfeld, Basenacker, Bradfield, Caravale, Carver.
Here. I'm on the board.
Catlin, Cutter, Doherty, Duran, Esgar, Exum, Froelich, Geithner, Gonzalez Gutierrez,
Here.
Gray. Representative Gray is here. Hanks, Herod,
Here.
Holtorf, Putin,
McKean.
Judah, Kennedy, Kip, Larson, Lindsay, Lontine, Luck, Lynch, is here. McCluskey. McCormick. McKean. McLaughlin. Michelson Janae. Mullica. Representative Mullica is excused. Neville. Ortiz. Pelton.
Here.
Pico. Ransom. Rich. Ricks.
Here.
Roberts. Sandridge.
Here.
Sirota. Snyder. Soper. Sullivan. Tipper is excused. Titone. Valdez A is here. Valdez D. Van Beber. Van Winkle. Weissman. Will. Representative Will. Oh, there he is. Williams. Woodrow. Woog. Young. Mr. Speaker.
All right, I'll tell her.
63 present, 2 excused. We have a quorum. Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Esteemed colleagues, with all due respect and the highest level of sincerity, I move that the Journal of Tuesday, March 22nd of 2022 be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
Thank you, Representative Holtorf. That was a very sincere motion. Members, the motion before us is the adoption of the journal as corrected by the Chief Clerk. All those in favor say aye. Aye! All those opposed, no. That was a very harmonious no, but the ayes have it. The motion's approved. Announcements and introductions. I believe we have a tribute, members. Representative Michelson Janae.
Good morning, members. We have a tribute for the Civil Air Patrol, and I ask that it be read at length.
Mr. Schiebel.
State of Colorado. The Senate and House of Representatives convened in the 73rd General Assembly hereby extend sincere commendations to the Colorado wing of Civil Air Patrol. Civil Air Patrol is the congressionally chartered auxiliary of the United States Air Force. The Colorado wing of the Civil Air Patrol has served the citizens of the state since 1942, and today has over 900 unpaid adult volunteers and over 1,000 cadets serving the state in emergency services, cadet programs, aerospace education, cyber defense, disaster relief, and homeland security. In recent years, the Colorado wing has served prominently in providing COVID pandemic relief and in assisting FEMA and state and local agencies during Colorado floods and wildfires with aerial photography and assistance in damage assessment. Members of the Colorado wing have refined radar analysis and cell phone forensics to greatly enhance to greatly enhance search and rescue of downed aircraft and lost persons across the nation. The Colorado wing stands ready to support citizens in emergency situations, and in 2021 participated in search operations resulting in 7 lives saved and 25 successful finds, 2 disaster relief missions, and 3 air defense interception and evaluation missions. Colorado cadet squadrons continue to win honors in cyber defense competitions at the national level, provide color guards for events across the state, and provide cadet volunteers to support pandemic relief and community events. CAP provides flight instruction to cadets to earn their private pilot license or pilot certificates, and the CAP's aerospace education program touches an increasing number of students across Colorado by emphasizing the aviation and space connection to science, technology, math, government, and economics. The Colorado State House of Representatives expresses deep gratitude to the members of the Colorado wing of Civil Air Patrol and their service to the people of Colorado and the nation. On request of Representative Daphne Michelson Janae and Senator John Cook, given this 22nd day of March 2022, State Capitol, Denver, Colorado, signed Stephen Fenberg, President of the Senate, and Alec Gurnett, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Representative Michelson Janae.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We spoke a little bit about Civil Air Patrol yesterday. They've already moved on to the next chamber. We saw them this morning. Know that it's an amazing program, and if you have kids in your community, this is a great way, if they're interested in learning how to fly, to start being involved with our military and learn how to fly and do the services that they do for us every single day. So thank you, Civil Air Patrol, and thank you all for continuing to support this amazing organization.
Representative Mobley. And Representative Burnett.
And where's Gray?
And others. Representative McCormick. Representative Mobley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the Boulder delegation is up here today because today is the 1-year anniversary of this killings at King Soopers. And we just wanted to acknowledge that today is a special day for Boulder County and for the people who are the victims of this horrific event. And last year, after the event, we responded. We enacted 3 common sense gun safety bills, and I'm optimistic that the legislation we passed is going to start to make a difference. And also, over the interim session, we allocated $450 million for mental health care and treatment. And I'm optimistic that if we can get people into care, we will disentangle people from the criminal justice system, and we can make a difference in this problem. But we also can't stop there, because since that shooting, many, many, many other people have lost their lives to gun violence. And it's incumbent on this body to do everything we can to make sure that we slow this desperate public health emergency down. So thank you.
Representative Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In an instant, an ordinary day filled with mundane tasks like grocery shopping turned to disbelief and terror as 10 lives were snuffed out and scores more lives were devastated and changed forever. How could this happen in our quirky, quaint, seemingly safe little Boulder? But it did, and it will continue to happen until we treat gun violence with the same determination and tenacity as we do fighting diseases, and treat it like the health crisis that it is. Cancer costs the U.S. about $208 billion per year. Gun violence costs the U.S. $280 billion per year. We can't afford that. And while we spend $6 billion per year on cancer research in the U.S., we spend a mere $25 million on gun safety research. We can do better. In Colorado, gun violence costs, like I said, $280 billion per year in the U.S. That averages out to $860 per person per year. But that's just the average. Here in Colorado, gun violence costs over $1,000 per person per year, yet in Massachusetts, it's $260 per person, or about 1/4 the cost. Last year, we passed significant legislation that will make a difference, but I suspect we still have a ways to go. None of these actions are going to bring back the over 900 Coloradans who died from gun violence in 2020, or the 10 lives that were lost 1 year ago on this day. But we need to keep trying, because even one life lost is one life too much.
Thank you, members. Just a reminder, we have to be sensitive to not talk about policy while we're doing announcements and introductions. Additional announcements and introductions. Representative Wantine, or Representative Michelson Janae.
We have a very light announcement to follow, a heart-rendering one, and it is about April 1st. What do you all know about April 1st? April Fool's Day. What are we going to do on April Fool's Day, Representative Wantine?
Representative Wantine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're going to switch committees, Representative Michelson Janae. Please explain.
Well, this is an official announcement that due to scheduling changes, we are going to switch committees on the day of April 1st, and Public and Behavioral Health and Human Services will not be meeting at our regular time on April 1st, but Health and Insurance will be meeting during that time, upon adjournment on April 1st.
Representative Wantine.
So you heard it here, folks. Health and Insurance will be meeting on Friday upon adjournment on April 1st. So actually, it's not really April Fool's, but we hope that the members of the committee will make sure to mark it on their calendar. We've got 4 exciting bills to hear. House Bill 1122, 1246, 12, I need to see better, 69, and 1198. I think. My vision's not so good. This writing is tiny. We'll see you there. Thanks.
I have 2 quick announcements. Representative Wantine will replace Representative Roberts on the House Judiciary Committee for today only, and Representative McCormick will replace Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez on Public and Behavioral Health and Human Services for today only. Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just wanted everyone to know we are continuing Colorado Ag Week with Tuesday's events. And today, there will be a virtual panel discussion and video offered on the Colorado drought story. And the location is going to be on Zoom, so if you need that link, please shoot me a text message or come see me and I can send you that link. It's from 12:30 to 1:15. This short video will give information about the impacts of the drought on the Yampa River Valley, and it'll be followed by a panel discussion moderated by our Commissioner of Agriculture, Kate Greenberg, and a rancher on the Yampa Basin Tour participant, and someone also from the Ute Mountain Ute Farm community, and one of the Yuma County Commissioners. So it should be an interesting discussion and a good video to watch. And I also wanted everyone to know that the Department of Agriculture set out yesterday quite a bit of information, including a map of our state with every county and each county's contribution financially to our state from agriculture. And so it might be really interesting for you to come see where your county lies in its ability to contribute to our ag industry here. For instance, even my county of Boulder County is number 28 out of 64 counties, contributing $44 million to our state's annual agricultural investments. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative McCormick. Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
Honor to serve with you too, Representative Catlin.
Thank you. Members, I wanted to remind you that this virtual meeting that we're going to be having in regards to the drought in Colorado, I'm not sure how aware some of us are in this building how drought impacts us. There's not a person in Colorado that's not impacted by the drought.
Hold on one
that
sec,
we're
Representative Catlin. Let's direct our attention to the well. Representative Catlin is making an announcement.
Thank you, sir. What I wanted to say is that each and every one of us in this building is impacted by the drought that's had Colorado in its grip for over years and years. Some people say 19 years. That's surprising. It impacts us in ways we're not even aware of. When you go to this, if you go to this virtual meeting, one of the things you're going to see is that in the northwest part of the state of Colorado, they're suffering. The southwest part of the state, from the Ute tribe's farm, will tell you what's happened to their farm in the last couple of years. You'll also hear from Yuma, Colorado. Colorado is in trouble, not just because of agriculture, but because of what you need. We all need dependable water supplies. We all need firm yield from our reservoir storage. We all need the capacity to have water when we want it, when we need it, and every day. The West is starting to see what this is going to look like. One of the reasons we bring bills to you every year talking about water is to try and raise the awareness of the people on the Front Range, on the Western Slope, and on the urban corridor. Some days I think we're gaining, some days I think we're losing. But it's going to come down to everything, and every one of us has got some special part to play in that. Regardless of what you think that might be. I went to college with a kid from Denver. Took him home to see my folks, go to the farm, and all those kind of things. I talked to him about 20 years after we graduated. He said, "You know, Mark, I think the only thing I learned in college was when I came to your house and your mom came in and said, 'Turn off the water while you brush your teeth.'" We lived on a cistern, which is an awful lot like Colorado is today. We had to go get water to put in the cistern so that we would be able to use it. That's what's happening to our cistern, the reservoirs, the storage facilities we've got in the state. It's going to take a concentrated effort on your part and on Ag's part. And today, with agriculture talking about drought, I thought I would come down and ask you, can you commit yourself to turn off the water while you're brushing your teeth? That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Catlin. And just a reminder, since I did it to one side, try not to advocate for policy or policy changes during announcements and introductions. Representative Exum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Transportation Local Government this afternoon will hear two bills, House Bill 1254 and House Bill 1253, with Representatives Valdez A. and Representative Ortiz. 1:30.
Thank you, Representative Exum. Representative Weissman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of Judiciary Committee, we are meeting today at 1:30 in the Old State Library, aka the big room across the way. We have two bills on our agenda. 1240, which is back for action only. We heard that previously. There was a multi-page amendment distributed on the desks and on email yesterday. Please take note of that as we will consider it in connection with 1240. Next bill on our agenda is 1206. See you at 1:30. Thanks.
Representative Herod.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, we have Appropriations Committee tomorrow. We will be meeting at 8:30 in the Old State Library. We will hear 1213 Young and Pico. Pico, high expectations for you on the joke tomorrow. 1217 Benavidez and Bachenfeld. Bachenfeld, I'm calling you out as well. We need some good jokes from the other side of the aisle. Sirota and Garnett, I have no hope for the speaker. And 023 is off the calendar. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Representative Herod. Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I received permission from the Majority Leader to be excused starting today at 1 o'clock as well as Friday, April 1st.
So approved, Representative Roberts.
And then a second announcement, Business Affairs and Labor Committee, we are not going to be meeting tomorrow. We had one bill on our agenda, Senate Bill 116. That will be rescheduled to a later date. So no Business Affairs and Labor Committee tomorrow upon adjournment.
Representative D. Valdez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And you heard, but also wanted to say that today is World Water Day for everybody out there, from our communities to Southern Colorado to the headwaters state of Colorado. Enjoy a good glass of water. Thank you.
Representative Titone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, Joint Technology Committee, we're meeting with the Audit Committee in the old Supreme Court. So see us there at 8 o'clock.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Education Committee, we are not meeting Wednesday, but on Thursday we will be listening to several bills, 1155, 1146, 1215, 137, 1280, and 1294. We will see you on Thursday, but not tomorrow. Thanks.
Representative Will.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
Honor to serve with you too, Representative Will.
I just wanted to make an announcement for all the big game hunters here in the chamber and all of your family and friends that hunt big game in the state of Colorado. April 5th is the deadline for applications for limited licenses. So April 5th is the deadline. Get your applications in. Thank you.
See no further announcements or introductions. The next order of business is third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1262.
House Bill 1262 by Representatives Sullivan and Snyder, also Senators Rodriguez and Cook, concerning the continuation of the authority of the Director of the Division of Workers' Compensation to impose fines on an employer for a subsequent failure to carry workers' compensation insurance within a specified period after a previous failure, and in connection therewith implementing the recommendation in the 2021 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Majority Leader Escar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1262 on third reading, final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1262 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members please proceed to vote. For those participating online, Representative Sandridge, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Sandridge votes no. Representative Carver, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Carver votes
No.
Yep. Representative Carver votes no. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Pelton votes no. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez votes yes. Representative Ricks, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ricks votes yes. Please close the machine. With 40 aye votes, 24 no votes, and 1 excuse, House Bill 1262 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1255.
House Bill 1255 by Representatives Ortiz and Bradfield, also Senators Zenzinger and Kirkmeyer, concerning measures to improve post-secondary education outcomes for students with a disability.
Majority Leader Escar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1255 on third reading, final passage.
The question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1255 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members please proceed to vote. Representative Sandridge, how do you vote? If you don't mind unmuting.
No.
Representative Sandridge votes no. Representative Carver, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Carver votes yes. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Pelton votes yes. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez votes yes. Representative Ricks, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ricks votes yes. Please close the machine. With 56 aye votes, 8 no votes, and 1 excuse, House Bill 1255 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of House Bill 1270.
House Bill 1270 by Representative Woodrow, also Senator Priola, concerning measures related to changing name-based criminal history record check to name-based judicial record check in the Colorado Revised Statutes.
Majority Leader Escar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move House Bill 1270 on third reading, final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1270 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Shebel, please open the machine and members please proceed to vote. Representative Sandridge, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Sandridge votes no. Representative Carver, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Carver votes yes. Yep. Representative Carver votes yes. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Pelton votes yes. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez votes yes. Representative Ricks, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ricks votes yes. Please close the machine. With 61 aye votes, 3 no votes, and 1 excuse, House Bill 1270 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Oh, Representative Ricks, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of Senate Bill 86.
Senate Bill 86 by Senators Winter and Gonzalez, also Representatives Gray and Gonzalez Gutierrez, concerning assets exempted from seizure in certain proceedings and in connection therewith, expanding the amount and application of the homestead exemption to include personal property that is actually used as a residence, increasing the scope and amount of assets that may be exempted, adding certain new exemptions, recreating and increasing exemption for money in depository accounts, and removing a requirement that a person must deposit and not commingle funds in order to render child support payments and unemployment benefits exempt from levy to pay a debt.
Majority Leader Escar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move Senate Bill 86 on third reading, final passage.
Question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 86 on third reading and final passage. See no further discussion. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Sandridge, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Sandridge votes no. Representative Carver, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Carver votes no. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Pelton votes no. Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assistant Majority Leader Gonzalez Gutierrez votes yes. Representative Ricks, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ricks votes yes. Please close the machine. With 41 aye votes, 23 no votes, and 1 excused, Senate Bill 86 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Representative Ricks, co-sponsor. Please close the machine. That brings us to general order, second reading of bills. Representative Woodrow. The House will be in a brief recess. Okay. All right. We're just double checking since we don't think that's ever actually happened. Is there objection to Woodrow taking the chair? Seeing none. Seeing none. Representative Woodrow will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there's a request for reading a bill at length. Committee reports are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader, and the coat rule will be enforced with the fury of 10,000 suns. Mr. Schiebel, please read the first bill on the. Please read the title of House Bill 1004.
House Bill 1004 by Representatives Ortiz and Young, also Senators Fields and Colker, concerning a transfer from the general fund to the licensing service cash fund.
Representative Ortiz.
Mr. Chair, it is an honor to serve with you despite your fury.
It is an honor to serve with you.
I move House Bill 22-1004.
To the bill, Representative Young.
It is also an honor to serve with you.
Likewise, Representative Young. To the bill.
What does this bill do? It transfers $3.9 million to the general fund to the licensing services cash fund, allowing the department to maintain current driver's license fee while supporting the solvency of the cash fund. The insolvency of the cash fund was apparent at the beginning of the fiscal year, and this bill is a remedy to increasing fees. By ensuring that the Department of Revenue does not have to raise driver's license fees, we can help stabilize costs. Through this simple transfer to the licensing services cash fund, we expect Coloradans to save approximately $2.2 million this year when renewing their license. Currently, driver's license fee in Colorado will freeze around $30 compared to the national average, which is about $40.
Representative Ortiz.
Members, it is no secret that our biggest push this year is to save Coloradans money in both big and small ways. And right now, it's critical. Coming out of a once-in-a-century pandemic and being forced into conflict by thug Putin, causing instability in global markets and energy, it is our mission to create economic opportunity and stability where we can during this critical time. And this bill is just one tool in the bat belt to save Coloradans money. So on top of the facts that my esteemed co-prime stated, I would also like to point out that driver's licenses are not just used to allow you to drive. They are used to apply for jobs, to apply for housing opportunities. This is going to save every Coloradoan money in a very real, tangible way. And unless you've lived on a fixed income like I have, you don't know how critical that can be, especially right now in this moment of history. Members, I urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Van Winkle. Yeah, I see him.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm all for creating economic opportunities, saving people money, and the name of the bill is driver's license fee reduction. So I'm wondering, for the average, for any Colorado citizen, how much does this actually reduce their driver's license fee? There's serious debate happening here. The answer is zero. It doesn't actually reduce driver's license fees by a single dollar or dime for any Coloradan.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Van Beber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have an amendment. Yes, I'd like to move amendment L003 and ask that it be properly displayed. And what this amendment does is...
Just one second.
Thank you.
Amendment L003 has been moved and displayed. Representative Van Beber.
Thank you. What this amendment does is strike through the body of the bill and substitutes that we will not transfer $3.9 million, $3.9 million to the general fund. We will substitute, and that number becomes $1. What I am asking is that the Department of Revenue cut costs to ensure that driver's licenses fees do not increase and that their solvency remains intact as they rebudget, and this becomes a true cost-saving measure for the folks of Colorado.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L003? Representative Ortiz.
Members, I would urge a no vote on this amendment. And just to address some of the remarks, if you know that you're going to have a price raise and you freeze the price raise, I would call that saving Coloradoans money. We want to keep this department solvent for all of the things that they do for our public safety. Right now, our public workers are doing so much with so little. I'm not interested in making sure that we fire individuals during a critical economic time or pay individuals less. This amendment would do just that. I urge a no vote.
Representative Ransom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to
Thank you,
speak-
Representative Ransom.
Said Madam Chair. You said Madam Chair.
I did?
Yes.
I am so sorry.
It's okay.
I apologize. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am here to speak in support of this amendment. Folks, as much as we've heard that that our departments are crying for money and that they're running out of money, over in the JBC, as you know, I dig into each department. I have been asking ever since I was elected 8 years ago for some zero-based budgeting. I keep hearing that, no, we do baseline budgeting here, meaning that anytime a department has their baseline established by the previous year's dollars, we don't really dig into the baseline. We don't dig into the previous year's spending, costs, FTE, or budget. We just debate on what's being added each year. And so with this amendment, this would actually put us in the position and put the department in the position of being able to do some zero-based budgeting. Look into their department, see if there are any opportunities to find that $3.9 million and possibly save it for the taxpayers of Colorado. For us to be taking it from the general fund, which I can also tell you the general fund is one of our most fluid areas within the state budget of trying to cover so many areas, and we're actually having a tough time having enough general fund right now to make sure that we can finalize the budget. So for the department to take the opportunity to actually look into the depths of their department, see what kind of areas they can find to save $3.9 million would be a plus for their department, for the state of Colorado, for the taxpayers of Colorado, for all the other areas that we are trying to make sure the general fund can cover as we finalize the budget in the next couple days here. So I would like to ask for an aye vote on this amendment to at least have them look, to at least have them see what we can find. And Mr. Chair, I thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of this amendment.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L003? Majority Leader Escar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'd ask for a no vote on this amendment as well. And while people seem to think we're living high these days on money coming into the state, I want to remind you all that in 2020, we had to cut $3.3 billion out of our budget, and that included every single department trying to scrape by and figure out what they can cut. We are still having the recovery moment within these departments, and to ask a department to do this to cover their increasing costs once again, I think would just be unfair and unjust. And I think that there's absolutely no reason for this. We're simply saying the increase that you were going to put on driver's license fees for everyday Coloradans will be frozen for another year. I don't think that's too much to ask when the people of Colorado are the ones who are digging into their budgets now, just like we did as a state in 2020. I ask for a no vote.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L003? Mr. Minority Leader McKean.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you. In fact, let me take this opportunity to say the coat rule is relaxed.
Hot dog. Go ahead. We're waiting. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That was kind of you.
You're welcome, Minority Leader McKean.
So I often play the role of taking us into the Wayback Machine because in the end, yes, to the Majority Leader's point, we cut how much? $3.3 billion. And then we came back later and we had a special session because we didn't need to cut all that money because our economy actually improved. But we cut back then we added $4 billion to the budget. And the challenge that I have is truly the argument of whether or not we are saving people money. When we see that we say, oh, we're going to reduce this fee, but we're going to backfill it from the general fund, let's remember that doesn't actually do anything. It means that your taxes are still being collected to go to a different place, to then go to a different place so that they can say they're saving you money. And this is a challenge, and it's a challenge that I would put to my right honorable colleagues on the other side of the aisle, which is let's figure out how to actually cut expenses. Let's figure out how to actually save people money rather than just playing the shell game and moving money from one side to the other. I would love and entertain delightfully an amendment that would actually save people money instead of just pretending it over here and moving it in from the general fund on the other side.
Is there any further discussions? Representative Van Bever.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know when I sit down at the kitchen table and I talk to my constituents and they sit down at their kitchen table and they are doing their budgeting and they are putting a pen or a pencil to paper and they are adding up or subtracting those costs, that's simple math that we can all rely on. What we're looking at in this bill is not simple math. It is a shell game. And when we think about a zero-based budgeting process, that very well could be the trend we ask for and continue to ask for from department to department to department. That's how the state of Colorado puts themselves in a position where they are not asking for $6 billion more every year from the taxpayers of Colorado. When the budget is so out of control, these are the small details over and over and over that continue to cause a crippling burden of taking and taking and taking from the wallets of the people of Colorado. It has to stop. This is meaningful. This asks the departments of Colorado to ensure that they do the same kind of math that our voters are doing to save themselves money, to keep themselves solvent.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L003. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. No. The amendment is lost. To the bill, Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you, Representative Holtorf. To the bill.
For the record, I did not object in any way earlier.
Duly noted.
Pending colleague.
Thank you. To the bill.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been serving House District 64 for the last 3 years, and I will tell you, over the last 3 years, we've had many budgetary challenges. But I have noticed during this time, the state budget continues to go up and up and up. And that trend continues. Over the last 3 years, I've noticed fees going up and up and up. And I've heard the debate about is a fee a tax or is a tax a fee, or what is it? And what is it to the Colorado citizen? I've heard the discussions this morning on this bill about JBC, baseline budgeting. I've heard the discussions about what is really going on. I've heard the discussions about is this smoke and mirrors, Colorado? And I'm sure you wonder. I've heard the cries from the departments that they need more and more and more money. Well, don't we all, Colorado? As inflation rises a near 8%. But we don't have more and more money, and our money is becoming less and less valuable. So I understand this amendment.
Word to the bill, Representative.
Excuse me, I'm going to introduce an amendment, sir. I understand the bill, but with respect to this bill, I want to take this farther. And I'm going to explain why I want to take this further, and I want to introduce and move L005 to House Bill 22-1004 and ask that it be properly displayed. And I believe this is a friendly amendment. Oh, wait, we have this one. I got one. Okay, you got it.
The amendment is properly before us. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this merely extends this from 2 years to 3 years. Now, for my esteemed colleagues, I'd like to explain. Being a cursory study of economics, having studied it at varied levels in my undergraduate and my graduate studies, when inflation besets an economy, that inflation takes time to correct itself. It can't be done in 1 year. It can't be done in 2 years. Typically, the earliest probability of a correction is in a 3-year or 36-month period. Now, if my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are sincere, and I believe they are, because they do want to save Coloradoans money now. In this year, they do want to save Coloradoans money. I understand that. This is a special year. Having said that, I'd like to offer this for 3 years so we can truly help Colorado. If we're going to do this, we're going to make sure these fees aren't going to go up. Not 1, not 2, but 3 years. So the inflationary forces that beset Colorado, the inflationary forces that beset this nation, have time to correct themselves as we promulgate policy that returns us to a non-inflationary economic condition. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Representative Young.
I used to teach high school math, and I would tell you from the perspective of high school math that the department has said that they can sustain this for 2 years with the amount of money we have put in, not 3 years. So I urge a no vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Van Winkle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And what we're referring to in the amendment, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is a statement in the legislative declaration, which for those watching at home, the legislative declaration doesn't actually get put into law. The law aspect of this bill is on July 1st, 2022, the state treasurer shall transfer $3,900,000 from the general fund, which the taxpayers pay into, to the licensing services cash fund. So actually the bill is only a one-time transfer of $3.9 million of taxpayer money. So I mean, vote yes or no on the amendment, but it's just simply changing legislative declaration language to give the inclination that we want to keep license fees from going up in 2 years or 1 year. But the bill itself is only a one-time transfer.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that in this year, Coloradoans are suffering. Now, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we didn't know we were going to have this crippling inflation due to so many events that are outside of our control and also events that were within our control. This bill merely states, this amendment merely states that we have the desire intent to tell Colorado citizens something that everybody has to do. Unless you don't want to drive legally, you have to get a license. And if you, like so many of us, go to the clerk and recorder or the DMV and you walk in there and you try to register a vehicle, or you try to get a driver's license, or you try to get a certificate of birth or a certificate of death or any other transaction that you have to do with the state of Colorado, you notice that the fees keep going up and up and up. Now, that is not my intent, nor the intent of my party or my colleagues. Let that be stated for the record. Now, we budget year to year to year, so it doesn't matter how long a department thinks they're going to be solvent, because every year we do new budget analysis. I'll use my high school math. If every year we do budget analysis and we allocate money to the department, it doesn't matter, because the next year they can ask for more money if they are upside down. The problem is, real citizens of Colorado, if they're upside down, who do they go to? Who do they go to bail them out? Well, this simple amendment, and I mean simple, this is grade school simple, just says let's do this for a little longer. Let's tell Colorado we don't want those fees to go up. We don't want them to go up, Colorado. In fact, if I had my druthers, I'd say for the next 5 years, every fee in the state of Colorado would be frozen and would not go up 1 red cent for everything. So, I will tell you this is a simple amendment. I encourage a yes on this amendment in this chamber for the citizens of Colorado.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L005 to House Bill 1004. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. The amendment is lost. Back to the bill. Representative Rich.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was in transportation and local government, and we heard this bill. And, you know, for those of you listening and those in the audience, you may think this is saving you money, but I renewed my driver's license just this last fall. This bill is not going to save me any money, because you don't have to get your driver's license renewed every year. So, for those that don't have to get their driver's license renewed, and they're going to backfill the driver's license program with your taxpayer money, it's not saving you money. This is very disingenuous when it says it will save people money. This is about replenishing insolvency. So I'm asking for a no vote, because there are those of us that are not going to have to get our driver's license renewed this year. This is not going to save us any money.
Representative Pico.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in opposition to this bill. The fundamental thing that this does is transfer the cost of your driver's license to everybody else across the state. To the point that was just made a few minutes ago, if your license isn't up for renewal, you're helping to pay for everybody else's driver's license. This is something which fundamentally socializes the cost of a driver's license across the broad population. I urge a no vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Young.
As has been previously stated, what this bill does is avoids the increase of driver's license fees by infusing cash into the licensing cash fund. If this infusion doesn't occur, the license fee will be increased. I urge and I vote.
Representative Ortiz.
Members, the bottom line, the simple math is showing that this is going to save people money. If your fees are not increased and you're not having to pay more money, what else do you call that? Simply put, this is saving you money. And I'm going to take issue with being called out as disingenuous in supporting this bill as a way to save money. I'm not trying to impugn motives here. This is one small way that we can save money. And since others have opened the floodgates on talking about the bigger picture and other issues, this is one of the many ways that I've worked hard to save Coloradoans money, whether we're talking about SALT Parity Act, whether we're talking about supporting veteran treatment courts and saving money by making sure we're not incarcerating veterans that are suffering from undiagnosed or untreated PTSD.
Rep. Ortiz, please stick to the bill.
The point is, since others brought up the bigger picture, we are saving Coloradoans money in big and small ways. Pay attention, Coloradans, on the way both sides of the aisle vote, not just on this issue, but on SALT parity and on other issues. Come on,
Is there any further discussion? Representative Van Winkle.
I hope people do pay attention. I hope they actually pull up the bill and look at it because it will not save any Coloradoan a single dime, a single dollar, a single cent.
Representative Rich.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to remind you one more time. This is not going to save Coloradans money. Those of you that are watching, this is not going to save you any money. Those of you that don't have to get your driver's license renewed this year, this is not going to save you money. You're paying for this. This is a shell game. And I really resent that somebody would impugn our motives for voting no on this bill.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1004. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1004 passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of the next bill. Oh, Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know I'm short, but I'm here.
Likewise.
I move to lay over House Bill 1157 to the end of the second reading calendar.
House Bill 1157 will be moved to the end of the calendar per the request of the Majority Leader. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1234 until tomorrow, March 23rd.
House Bill 1234 will be laid over until tomorrow per the request of the Majority Leader. Madam Majority Leader.
I'm walking out of the well.
Mr. Shebel, will you please read the title of House Bill 1276?
House Bill 1276 by Representatives Kipp and Exum concerning the continuation of the Second Chance Scholarship Program and in connection therewith implementing the recommendation contained in the 2021 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies to sunset the program.
Representative Kipp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move HB 22-1276.
So moved. To the bill. Representative Kipp.
This is really just a simple sunset bill, and this is a sunset bill that is actually doing a sunset of a program. It's actually, I think, a really good program that never really got a chance to get off of the ground. So what we are doing, even though it is being sunset, we have a commitment from the Colorado Opportunity Scholarship Fund, which is operated through kind of CDHE, and they have committed to continuing this program in a more efficient way.
Representative Exum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just to piggyback on that, we're appreciative to the Colorado Opportunities Scholarship Fund to give this Second Chance Scholarship a first chance. We ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1276. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1276 passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of the next bill.
Senate Bill 3 by Senators Buckner and Donovan, also Representatives Mullica and Exum, concerning permitting community colleges to offer a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing to certain students.
Representative Mullica.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, it's an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you, Rep. Mullica.
Mr. Chair, we move Senate Bill 3.
So moved. To the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, really excited to bring this bill to you today. Senate Bill 3 expands on House Bill 1086 that we passed several years ago that allows community colleges to offer a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. That bill, you had to be enrolled in the 2-year RN program to be eligible to go into the BSN program. This expands on it and says that you could be in the LPN program or the certificate program and still be eligible to go into that Bachelor's of Science in Nursing program. It's a great bill, opens up more opportunities to put nurses out there. Obviously, we are short-staffed and really need to find some solutions to the workforce issues that we're facing, and this is going to be one of those solutions that I think does some amazing things, so I ask for a yes vote.
Rep. Exum.
I too ask for a yes vote. This was going to help nurses get more nurses educated and trained faster than we currently do. And the legislation just expands for students to earn their BSN degree. And very grateful for Representative Mullican allowing me to join him on this great bill, and we ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 3. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 3 passes.
We're ready to do all this, yeah.
Mr. Shebo, please read the title of Senate Bill 121.
Senate Bill 121 by Senators Zenzinger and Simpson, also Representatives Rich and McLaughlin, concerning increasing the amount of tuition revenues pledged by an institution of higher education.
Representative Rich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 22-121. There was no committee report.
To the bill. Representative Rich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate Bill 121. This bill allows 9 institutions of higher education to pledge 100% of their tuition towards their bond obligations. CU already has the authority to do this. CU is neutral on the bill, while all other institutions support this bill. In general, rating agencies recognize that broader revenue pledges improve the credit strength of financing. Of the 42 states surveyed for tuition pledges to bondholders, public universities in 33 states pledge 100% of tuition. The remaining 9 offer no tuition to bondholders. No other state other than Colorado allows one of its universities or university governing boards to pledge, but not the other 9 governing boards. Limiting the tuition pledge to 10% has been cited as a credit negative in the past rating reports by Moody's.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, didn't mean to promote you there. Yes, this will help give our schools of higher education just a larger line of credit. There's no money coming from the state, no money coming from the colleges. It just gives them the opportunity to save money on the payments that they're going to have to make. And over a period of time, all of our schools of higher education will be able to save money, perhaps lower tuition or not raise it. And it just gives them the opportunity for more investments.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Baisley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, yeah, we heard this in the Education Committee. This is merely an accounting matter, and I'm not sure why it was ever restricted by statute from the institutes of higher education in the first place, but only one institution was allowed to take advantage of this or to make use of this accounting procedure, and now they all ought to be able to and would, according to this bill. Anyway, it puts the authority out to where the responsibility lies. So this is a good bill, and we all ought to support it. So I urge a yes vote. Thank you.
No Pinocchios noted, Rep. Baisley. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 121. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 121 passes. Mr. Shebo, please read the title of House Bill 1157.
House Bill 1157 by Representatives McCormick and Titone, also Senator Hawkes Lewis, concerning the utilization of demographic health data by the Department of Public Health and Environment to address health inequities.
Representative McCormick.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 22-1157 and the Appropriations Committee report and the Public and Behavioral Health Committee report.
To the Appropriations report.
In appropriations, we were able to get money appropriated for the Department of Public Health and Environment. I urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Members, seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Appropriations report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Appropriations report is adopted. To the Public and Behavioral Health and Human Services report, Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have an amendment to the committee report. I move L005 to the Public Health and Behavior Committee report.
Thank you, Representative McCormick. Let us get that properly displayed.
I don't need so many copies of this.
The amendment is properly before us. Please proceed. Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this amendment is being added to, after discussion with legal scholars as well as the Department of Public Health and Environment, to close any real or perceived gaps in data privacy to make sure that we are protecting all individuals' private information. So this is put in there to really make sure that we have protected everyone's information. I urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L005 to the Public and Behavioral Health and Human Services Committee report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment passes. Back to the committee report. Representative McLaughlin. Representative McCormick.
No, we have to adopt the report.
Oh, in the
To adopt the report.
committee report, I move that we
Just we adopt the committee.
that we adopt the Public Behavioral Health Committee report as amended.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the passage of the adoption of the Public and Behavioral Health and Human Services Committee report as amended. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Public and Behavioral Health and Human Services Committee report is passed as amended. To the bill, Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment currently has no statutory obligation to collect and disaggregate data on a number of critical data sets, such as race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender ID, and disability data. Yet we have an Office of Health Equity and a Health Equity Commission that is housed under CDPHE, and they are tasked with developing statewide equity reports and strategic plans to identify priorities, obstacles, goals, and timelines to address health disparities amongst all of us. So in order to truly identify these health disparities and create strategic plans for Colorado, we must have the data that will inform this information. And this bill will ensure that we are able to do this by adding these metrics to the information that is collected and disseminated by the department. Complete and accurate demographic data is essential to enabling the department's mission to protect and improve the health of Colorado's people and the quality of its environment. If this data is not collected, it cannot inform public health approaches locally or on a statewide level in Colorado. And currently the data is just not complete. And this bill will help with that mission. We all know that a one-size-fits-all approach rarely works, and it certainly doesn't work when we're talking about health and public health. So we need a more comprehensive, and also according to the Federal Center for Disease Control, without this complete information, a patient's health care needs cannot be specifically identified or addressed, and important health care services may not be delivered adequately. So data collection in healthcare allows health systems to create holistic views of patients, personalized treatments, advanced treatment methods, improve communication between doctors and patients, and enhance health outcomes. So we need a more comprehensive way to more accurately collect this important demographic data on a voluntary basis. And this bill will allow CDPHE to create that way. And I urge a yes vote on House Bill 1157.
Representative Titone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you, Rep. Titone. To the bill.
Thank you. Well, you know, healthcare disparities exist all throughout our healthcare system. But the way we can get those disparities solved is through data. And with that data, we can weed out those disparities to save the people of Colorado money on health care. And that's what this bill does. So I urge a yes vote on the bill.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So frequently, we see agencies encourage us to pass legislation that requires them to do something that they already have the authority and the funding to do. This sounds like it might fall within that. So my question to the sponsors is CDPHE, is the department asking us to require them to do something they already would like to do and have the resources to do, or do we really need to pass this bill? Thank you.
Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we've been working hand in hand with the department on their desire to be able to develop systems to be able to collect this data. There's so many different systems involved, and they are interested and want this information. And so a lot of the drafting of the language has been hand in hand with the department on how we as a body need to direct them to figure out how to do it and to appropriate the funds so they can now go and do this systems collection so that they know as they collect this information for the Health Disparities Commission that they're able to do it. So they kind of need our participation in the process.
Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So for clarification, if they need funding, that's a good reason for us to require them to do something that they would like to do anyway, because then there's a fiscal note to that. So is that the case? There's a fiscal note to this that requires our funding, okay, or approving funding. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. High Rise representing House District 64 with concerns and reservations with regard to House Bill 2211-57. On its face, it may seem like an innocuous request, harmless request from a department. But it is interesting how we have built a department within CDPHE, and now we have to come back and fill it with data. So we can promote more policies and make more laws. For CDPHE to bring upon the state of Colorado. Policy and rules that we have noticed in the past 2 years across Colorado, but specifically in eastern and southeastern Colorado. And I speak to every Coloradoan out there, because this is part of the rural-urban divide. When departments in Denver promulgate rules and then the heavy hand of state governance comes down on the rest of Colorado like a hammer and forces people to lose their jobs, lose their livelihood, lose their income. Now you ask, what am I speaking of? I'm speaking of laws and rules that were promulgated during the COVID-19 crisis. So what is going to come of this?
To the bill, Rep.
To the bill, what is going to come of this? As we've built this department, health equity, now we're going to fill it with data. And then what policies and procedures are going to come out of that are going to befall Colorado from the heavy hand of government that we currently have across this state? Eastern Colorado doesn't want CDPHE to impose the heavy hand of government in their policy and rules. And we are very concerned with programs like this that allege to be non-authoritative, but as they gather data, as they build and plan and promulgate, then what happens, Colorado? Then they begin to impose the heavy hand of government. I don't make this stuff up, Colorado. And here we are on this same journey, and in 5 or 10 years, where will this go? Well, I will tell you, in eastern Colorado, we're going a direction that we don't want to go. My constituents ask me to speak up every time this stuff comes through this Gold Dome, and I am speaking and saying, here we are again, Colorado. I think we should reject those things as we pass legislation that further embolden and empower state governments to extend their reach, and authority against those who now, in many cases, feel oppressed by the state.
Is there any further discussion? Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I just wanted to point out that many community groups from across the state noticed gaps in health outcomes, and people deserve to be counted no matter where they live, no matter who they are. And this is about the voluntary collection of that information, demographic information across the state. So when we leave people out of being counted, if they want to be counted, then that can lead to health inequities. And this bill will do just that. It's not going to make people report any of their demographic data, but if they choose to do so, then it can help drive the important decisions that will allow us to bridge those health inequities that we see amongst different populations in our state. So I urge an aye yes vote on 1157.
Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I understand that with this amendment we just passed on second reading, now there's comfort in that. But that amendment didn't get presented in committee. It wasn't presented in stakeholder work. It wasn't presented in committee. And now on second reading, we're going, whoopsie. We better take care of this or we could have a problem, Houston. So I will tell you, even with the best of intentions and even with fourth quarter amendments, we in eastern Colorado have serious concerns adding more layers and more bureaucracy and more cost and greater budget requirements on bigger departments that have new departments for new needs, real or perceived, as we grow government in Colorado. And I will tell you, eastern Colorado is not interested in growing government, and we're not interested in the government getting further and further into data collection. How much information does Big Brother need? Voluntary or mandatory? How much information do they need? Everything and everybody, every year, every day, every birthday, every possible demographic identity we can muster. How about every pronoun of the 72 pronouns that we're
to the bill, Rep. Holtorf.
Describing?
Is there any further discussion? Rep. Titone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Data helps us save money. Data helps us save money, and we're going to use this to save money on healthcare.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, members, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1157 as amended. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1157 as amended is passed. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
You have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Shebel, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report as under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof and making the following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1004, 1157 as amended, 1276, passed on second reading in order engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 3, Senate Bill 121, passed on second reading in order revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1234, laid over until March 23, 2022.
Representative Woodrow. Thank you, Representative Woodrow. There is an amendment at the desk. Mr. Shebel, please read the Van Beber amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole, which is L003 to House Bill 1004.
Representative Van Beber moved to amend the report of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee in not adopting the following Van Beber amendment L003 to House Bill 1004 to show that said amendment passed and that House Bill 1004 as amended passed.
Representative Van Beber.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the Van Beber amendment on House Bill 221004 to the Committee of the Whole and ask for a favorable vote.
That is a proper motion, and it's properly displayed. Is there further discussion? Representative Young.
I urge a no vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on the Van Beber amendment to, which is L003 to House Bill 1004? Seeing none. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. For those participating online, Representative Sandridge, how do you vote?
No. Or actually, yes.
Okay. Representative Sandridge votes yes. Representative Carver?
Yes.
Representative Carver votes yes. Representative Pelton?
Yes.
Representative Pelton votes yes. Representative Ricks?
No.
Representative Ricks votes no. Please close the machine. With 27 aye votes, 36 no votes, and 2 excused, the Van Beber amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole is lost. The question before us is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Shebel, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Sandridge, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Sandridge votes no. Representative Carver, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Carver votes no. Representative Pelton, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Pelton votes no. Representative Ricks, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Ricks votes yes. Please close the machine. With 39 aye votes, 24 no votes, and 2 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. Majority Leader Escar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to lay over the balance of the calendar until tomorrow, March 23rd.
Seeing no objection, the balance of the calendar will be laid over one day until Wednesday, March 23rd. That brings us to announcements and introductions. Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Health and Insurance Committee, we are meeting in 5 minutes. Please don't be late. We are hearing House Bill 1290. So 10:50-ish, closer to 50.
Representative Michelson Janae.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Public and Behavioral Health and Human Services, we will meet at 1:30 in room 112. We'll be hearing 3 bills, 1031, 1271, and 1256. See you then.
Representative Rich.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've received approval to be excused on Friday, March the 25th.
So approved. Representative Will.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to come up and give a shout out to my Aunt Glendine, who is 100 years old today. She's on my dad's side, my dad's sister, but she turned 100. She's turning at 100 today. So happy birthday, Aunt Glendine.
Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd appreciate your concurrence. I received permission from both majority and minority leaders to be absent on Friday, April 8.
I don't think I'm supposed to say so approved because it's already been approved and you're just making the announcement, but so approved.
Thank you.
Any other announcements or introductions? Seeing none. Majority Leader Escar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the House stand in recess until later today.
Seeing no objection, the House will stand in recess until later today.